Hello everyone, my name's Jim and welcome back to My Movie Obsession, a place for film obsessors and geeky movie fans, and it's time to talk about the live action Lion King remake, the latest in a long line of Disney taking everything that we already pretty much saw as perfect and then saying, yeah, we can improve on that. Yeah, but what if you can't? We think we can. Yeah, but we think you can't. Well, we think you can, and there's loads of us, so we're just going to do it, so fuck it, here it is. The Lion King remake, directed by Jon Favreau and including the voice talents of Donald Glover, Seth Rogen, Beyoncé Knowles, James Earl Jones, and of course many others. Now you probably expect me to hate this movie from that introduction, but I didn't hate this movie. You know what? I had quite a bit of fun watching this movie, but I feel like it is a flawed film and it is a pointless film. You know, in retrospect, you come out the cinema and you're like, okay, but what did that accomplish? You know, did it introduce the Lion King to a new generation? Well, there's no need. We already have the Lion King to introduce to this generation. What's wrong with that? Let's show the original cartoon to kids. I don't know who this is for, is what I'm trying to say. Who are these live action remakes for? For me, they just come across as a bit lifeless. You know, the cartoon had so much personality and so much charisma and so much charm. The cartoon characters' faces. The characters were a bit hollow and a bit less memorable. And seeing live action lions and animals doing all this stuff was just a bit hollow because it didn't look right. It didn't look like they should be doing this stuff. I think the magic of the Lion King in a way is that it is a cartoon. I really liked Timon and Pumbaa in the film, played by Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen. I think they completely nail those characters. I think Timon and Pumbaa are an extremely strong point of this remake. They're full of that energy, that charm, and they're very, very funny, and it's very important that Timon and Pumbaa make you laugh your ass off, and they did in this film. And it wasn't necessarily the same jokes as the cartoon, which I was happy with, because they weren't just reeling off lines from the cartoon, they actually wrote some original jokes for these characters. And I think Timon and Pumbaa, for me, in this film, were the heart of the story. Of course, they have the message that keeps Simba from confronting his destiny, but in a way, Hakuna Matata, in a way, is a good spiritual message, which is stop giving a fuck as much. Another thing I like about the film is that it was really fast paced. From minute one, I was entertained, I was never bored, and that's a big achievement. And I was bored by a few of these Disney live action remakes. Beauty and the Beast bored me very much, in fact. This movie, it kept me entertained. It was fast paced, it was entertaining, it was exciting. And I like how when they remade the scenes from The Lion King, they managed to capture a new kind of epic spectacle. So, you know, Mufasa's death in this is quite an epic scene. It's quite well shot, it's quite well delivered. The scene where Simba fights Scar at the end is pretty exciting and pretty badass. I just can't wait to be... King was a pretty strong song. I like the Hakuna Matata rendition. I like what they added in this of Timon and Pumbaa singing In the Jungle, the Mighty Jungle. That was pretty good, but the songs felt a bit lackluster overall. They were okay, but they just didn't reach the level of the original. They didn't create that emotional high that you get watching those classic songs. Which kind of brings me to the downfalls of this movie. I mean, there's a few positives, as I've said. I don't think this is a bad film, but I just feel like it comes across a bit lifeless. It's lacking that charm and that spark that the original Lion King had. And I think that's because the original Lion King was a cartoon. I do think the cartoon nature of it added to the charm of that film. I don't know if this works as well with seemingly real lions, because we don't get the... people have talked about this, but we don't get the facial expressions. We don't get the emotional connection, because we can't see these characters pull a face. Every character in this film has the same face. James Earl Jones voicing Mufasa. Mufasa looks the same no matter what. Simba looks the same no matter what. That's a problem, because the facial expressions are one of the main points of the Lion King's effectiveness, in my opinion. You know, Simba's sadness when Mufasa dies, Scar's evil face and evil grin, Mufasa's really memorable reactions when Simba's in trouble. You know, we can't really do the Lion King without that. It's a film with great emotional turmoil, so we need some emotional presence. And there were no facial expressions in this film whatsoever. Every character was emotionless. And that was a real void between the audience and the characters. And the sad thing is, other than Timon and Pumbaa, Simba and of course Mufasa, And even James Earl Jones, his performance in this isn't as good as his performance in the original, which is sad, but none of the other voice actors really resonate. Beyoncé didn't bring much to the role. You know, the other actors who played the other lions didn't bring much to the role. John Oliver as Zazu was nowhere near as good as Rowan Atkinson. So they're just the backing cast wasn't really there. You know, Whoopi Goldberg as one of the hyenas was fantastic in Lion King. In this, the hyenas, they look good, but they're not as memorable. Again, it just feels like they should have spent more time trying to make these characters memorable, and they're just not at all. You know, they're just really kind of, it's a movie that we watch and then after it you just forget it immediately. It's so forgettable, this movie, with a few good action scenes and camera techniques for those action scenes. It doesn't pack the emotional punch though overall of The Lion King. There are some photos floating around online of CGI, possible CGI versions of the characters in this, and I think these are so much better, guys. They reflect the feeling of the cartoon, but they also give the film its own style. And I think these are a lot better because the characters are actually able to convey, you're actually able to relate to them. You know, when you have like a dog in front of you, unless you know that dog as your own dog, you're not going to be able to differentiate its facial expressions. Dogs do have expressions, but you're not going to be able to differentiate between a dog you've just met and, you know, a dog you've had your life. So meeting these animal characters and just not being able to differentiate their facial expressions from one another is a major problem. I really like these pictures. I think Scar looks infinitely better. I think Simba looks infinitely better. It gives the Disney flavour, which is what's missing. The Disney sparkle, the Disney personality. I feel like these live action remakes are just taking all the magic away. The only picture I don't agree with, and I actually think the design is really good in the film, is Rafiki. I don't think this is great, this other CGI version of Rafiki. Don't think it's great at all. I actually think the Rafiki they done in the film was great, and that's a positive I have of the film. I think Rafiki was brilliant in this. Again, not as good as the original. So just overall, even when the stuff's great, it's still inferior. So that's my problem with remakes. If you can't approach the original, and the original's always towering over it in so many ways, the movie comes across as pointless. But is it as just an entertaining movie that you just watch and it goes in one ear and out the other? I guess it's worthwhile then, I guess, because I didn't hate it, but I didn't have any strong feelings towards it. And those Disney cartoons we grew up with really created strong feelings in us. Today's Disney is just creating feelings of emptiness in us. So what do you guys think of the live action Lion King? Let me know in the comments down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Does anyone out there prefer it to the original? Because you know what? The Jungle Book, the remake, I actually, in some ways, no, I can't say it. I was going to say I would prefer it to the original. I don't. But that's the closest they've got to matching it. So, you know, that's the template for me. But let me know what you think of The Lion King in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I talk about retro movies, superhero movies, and all sorts of geeky movie stuff on this channel, so we can discuss our movie obsession. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys next time.